Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing my July wrap-up, and usually I do my wrap-ups and TBRs in the same video, but I read like 12 books in July, going on 13. I read almost 13 books in July. So I didn't want you guys to be sitting here for a long time, so I figured I would just break them up, and I'll probably post my TBR the day after my book haul goes up, so like 2 days from now about that. But yeah, and if you're wondering what happened to my hair, I went to bed with it wet, and this is what it does if I go to bed with wet hair. So yeah, I want to make this video as quick as possible, but I also want to express all of my feelings towards all the books that I read, so let's get right into this. The first book that I read this month is the book that I rated the highest and is my favorite of all of them for this month, and I think this book actually kind of slumped me, but in the way that nothing was as good as this book. So I'm talking about Conversion by Katherine Howe. I received a finished copy of this graciously at BEA, and I had no idea what it was about when I picked it up, but I knew that I wanted to read it and post a review when it came out, so my review will be linked down in the description. But this is a story that's kind of told through the past and the future, so it's about like the Salem witch trials and how it's affecting like current lives at this school. It's like a school for girls. It's like a mystery thriller because you're trying to figure out what happens. It's not dark like anything like that, so I don't want you to be kind of turned off from reading it. So yeah, I totally recommend you guys check this out, and I can't say enough good things about it. So check out my review for more details both on the plot and my thoughts. Then the book I read after that was The Archived by Victoria Schwab. I had such high hopes going into this book. It seemed like something I would really love, and it was something that has gotten so much hype, and I known it for a long time, so I really wanted to read it, so I finally picked it up, and I have to say I was kind of disappointed. I also wrote a review for this one, but I'm not sure if it's up yet. I give it 3 out of 5 stars. So I don't own the sequel, but I might read it from the library just to see, and I think there's going to be a 3rd book. I'm not sure. Then I finally picked up Hex Hall by Rachel Hawkins. I think about last year, it might have been around this time last year, I'd picked it up from the library and I ended up putting it down about 50 pages in, and I'm not sure why, because I think I read this in just a couple of sittings. But I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It is about a girl who gets sent almost to a boarding school with other like supernatural creatures like werewolves and witches. She's a witch, and there's a vampire, so there's one vampire, and yeah, so I like her writing style. I find it very funny. The story was okay. It was like, the plot wasn't anything exciting and all that stuff. It kind of got better towards the end, like different things kept coming up and there was a twist I didn't expect. So I do really want to read the sequel, but I don't own it, so I'm gonna have to get it from the library. Then at this time we started our Readathon for #AYearAthon, and the theme for July was classics. The first one that I actually finished was Animal Farm by George Orwell. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It is probably gonna be one of my new favorite books regardless, like not even just classic, just books in general. And it's kind of told from the perspective of animals, but in like a 3rd person sense, so you do get like the interaction of people now and again. I know there's a movie I'm thinking of, and it was done, Chicken Run. I think that's what I think of when I think of this book, but it's kind of like animals trying to get their freedom, and then it kind of turns into like a Lord of the Flies thing, and it's very short, so I don't want to talk about it too much and give too much away, but it is sad, and it's also very, very good, so I recommend you pick it up. And then the second book that I read for our readathon was Another Nun by Agatha Christie. This is one I've been really wanting to read because I read 10 by Gretchen McNeil and I really enjoyed it, and at the time I hadn't known that that was based off of this, so I was very excited to read the original and something by Agatha Christie, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was really good. At the beginning it was slow and it was hard to kind of differentiate between characters, but then by the end I was like mind blown, and I was just like, that, like, I did not know who to expect, had done it, and I was blown away. So I cannot wait to pick up more of her books. I really hope I can get it in this kind of edition because I like the typography and everything of it. So I'm very excited to read more of her works. I picked up Alice in Tumberland by Tim Manley. This is just something that's like cute and it has pictures, so I read it just sitting in a couple of hours, and I marked down a couple of my favorites. But it centers mostly around a group, like a specific group. It's Peter Pan, Cinderella, the Tortoise and the Hare, Goldilocks, and Rapunzel. So it kind of continues going back to the story, so there is like character development. Oh, and I think Beauty and the Beast is in here, and there are a few other ones, but those are the main ones, like the Ugly Duckling and stuff. So it was very good. It was cute. I know it's more adult than young adult because of some content, but overall I did really enjoy it, and I think it's just really pretty. So if you're interested in this, I recommend reading it in November when we do our fairy tale retellings readathon. But I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. Then you're going to notice a trend of contemporaries, because for some reason I just want to read contemporaries. It's summer, so I picked up The Best End of Your Pathetic Life by Tara Altebrando. This was on my summer TBR, it's on my A to Z challenge, so I figured, and it's short, so I figured I might as well just pick it up. I was so disappointed with this book. It took me forever to read, and it's like 200 and something pages, and it takes place over the course of like maybe 12 hours, but every time I read it, I felt like it had been many hours, and in reality, or in the novel, it had only been like 20 minutes, so I found that very annoying. There was not a very good perception of time, and there were a lot of things I would have changed. If you don't know what it's about, because I didn't really talk much about any of the other books, this is about a senior class, a high school senior class, and every year they organize almost like a scavenger hunt, but some of them are dangerous, like stupid things like skinny dipping, or like taking pictures with this or buying this and getting that. It's like just a kind of a scavenger hunt. So this girl and a group of her 4 friends, that's why there's 4 on the cover, they set out to do one last big thing before they all go off to school, and there are different rival teams, and then like another guy involved that like crushes, and it just got, it's like she was trying to do so much in such a limited space, and I could not deal with it. I got so frustrated and so annoyed, and I only gave it 2 out of 5 stars. So then I wanted to read something else that I thought would be a nice quick read, and I picked up Criers Cross by Lizzie McMahon. This is the last book that I own by her that I have not read. So I haven't heard anybody talk about this, so I had no idea what it was about going into it. But it is about a girl named Kendall. She lives in a small town, and then there are 2 new people move into this town, like that go to her school. Like the high school is kind of like all in one room, and they just separate them by groups of desks. So the brother is in her grade, so he like sits with her, and she has a boyfriend, but she doesn't like putting labels on things, so he's kind of like her boyfriend, but not really. It was so weird. So it starts, this isn't spoiling because this is how it opened, a girl goes missing. So I figured that the whole novel would kind of look into that, but in reality there was a big chunk of it that didn't even address it, and everybody just kind of moved on. So again, it's another short one, but there wasn't enough going on, and when something exciting did happen, it was kind of rushed, and I found a lot of elements to be kind of predictable. But yeah, I just did not like this book, so again, I give it 2 out of 5 stars. At this point, I was in such a reading slump. I was getting so desperate for something good to read and something short, because at this point I just wanted to sit and watch Netflix. So I picked up Stop Pretending What Happened When My Big Sister Went Crazy by Sonia Soames, because I love Sonia Soames. All of her books I just think are amazing, and she writes in verse, so they go by very quickly. So I read this and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, thank goodness. It was really good. It is about a girl whose sister goes crazy, but she's I think 7 or 9 years younger, so at the time she's not really sure what's going on, but her sister gets admitted to a hospital, and it's kind of her recollecting watching what her parents had kind of gone through and how they reacted, and I found it to be very emotional. I read this very personally, and I thought it was very well done. And if you guys have not read any books by Sonia Soames, I totally recommend you do. She is such a great writer that can pack such a story into such a tiny little book. Then we get on to some ebooks that I read. I read The Beginning of Everything by Robin Schneider. This is a book that I almost bought when I was in New York in May, because I'd been wanting to read it for so long. I also had no idea what it was about at the time, so that was kind of I guess a good thing, but I knew that it was contemporary, so I ended up giving this book 3 out of 5 stars. It is told from a guy's perspective, which I think is very interesting. I forget his name already. I want to say Ezra. I think it is. I think his name is Ezra. And he used to be the popular guy in school. He was like captain of the tennis team or something. He had like a girlfriend that was a cheerleader. Like, he was a big deal. And then the night or so, maybe the weekend before prom, he got in a car accident. This isn't spoiling anything. And it damaged his leg, so he can no longer play tennis. So when he goes back to school, he kind of feels like an outcast, and I guess I didn't enjoy it because I felt like he wasn't giving his friends a chance. Like, he kind of assumed that because he couldn't play, they were no longer his friends. And I don't think that was very accurate. So he got kind of all mopey and just over emotional, and it just kind of went out of hand. But then a girl gets into the picture, the new girl, just kind of talks about them, and then how there wasn't much character development for him, maybe at the end, but yeah. So overall I was disappointed with it, and I'm actually glad I didn't buy it because I don't know if I would have liked to see it sitting on my shelf. And then the book that took me the longest to read, I had to read books in between because it was taking me so long to read this book. I read Just One Day by Gail Forman, which granted it's nearly 400 pages, but I usually read contemporaries very quickly. And this was a book I'd been wanting to read for so long. I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. And it is about a girl who is on a trip throughout Europe with her school. And she meets this guy. I know, shocker. And he convinces her to spend just one day in Paris with him because she didn't get to go to Paris. And I guess I found this book to be, I don't want to say unrealistic, but I know my mom would have killed me if she found out I had ditched my friend to go to Paris with some guy I just met, because her cell phone didn't even work. Like, let's just talk about that. So she went into this place totally blind. Her friend was the only one that knew where she was going, and even then, like, where in Paris, she didn't know where she was going. So everything about it was just kind of like, so yeah. And then some parts got draggy, but that was only like the first half of the book, and then the second half is like her going away to college and kind of like reflecting back on what had happened. Anyway, I don't think I'm gonna read the companion, or I definitely won't buy it. I'll just get it from the library. But yeah, 3 out of 5 stars, unfortunately. And then the last book that I actually managed to finish in the month of July was When Did You See Her Last by Lemony Snicket. This is the second book in the All the Wrong Questions series. After the reading month I had such a disappointing reading month. I just needed a middle grade to just pull me out. I couldn't do contemporaries anymore. I just needed something. So this book is, well, to talk more about the first one, it's about a guy named Lemony Snicket. I know. And he's kind of like an apprentice detective. And it's hard to explain because it's not a very deep plot, so I don't want to give a lot of it away. But yeah, it's just mysterious and it's just fun. It's just a middle grade series that I recommend if you're interested for August's Readathon, which is middle grade. Oh, 3 out of 5 stars. Then the book that I'm currently reading, because I don't see a point in putting this in my TBR because I might even have it finished by the time this goes up, is Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. I know, I finally picked it up. Thank goodness. My friends had kind of persuaded me to finally pick it up, and I have about 100 pages left. At first, I really could not get into it. I was so not interested, and even kind of now, I don't really see where all the hype came from, but that just might be me with personal things that I guess I can attribute to this. So I don't know if I should love it because I can relate to it, or hate it because it reminds me so much of what I can relate to. But right now it's looking like I'll probably give it 3 stars. But yeah, if you're interested, you can check my Goodreads, which again is always linked down in the description. So yeah, those are all the books that I read in July. But August is gonna be ridiculous. I don't know if I've said it up front or not. Just quickly, I did get accepted into the university that I wanted to, so I leave August 29th to go to New Brunswick, and yeah, so it's gonna be busy. There are a lot of things to do. I just booked my flight the other day, so okay, so I'm gonna go. Thank you guys for watching. If the hair and everything stays the same for my book haul and TBR, please don't judge me. I'm on time. I'm trying to get everything done. But yeah, let me know what you read down in July, if you've read any of the books that I talked about, or yeah, whatever your favorite book of the month was. Just leave me some kind of comment. I love responding and reading them. So I'll talk to you guys tomorrow with a book haul. Bye.